Hey folks, welcome to Legal Talk, brought to you by the law offices of O'Donnell, Weiss, and Megay, your life, your business, your law firm. We're located at 41 High Street in Pottstown, where we've been for 63 years. We're also located at 347 Bridge Street, where we've been for 13 years already. We're at owmlaw.com. And then finally, we're at 610-323-2800 or 610-917-9347. My name's David Megay, and I'm an attorney with the office, and I'm joined by Rebecca Hobbs. Rebecca, thanks for joining me. Rebecca is also, thankfully, an attorney with our office. Rebecca focuses her practice on estate planning, estate administration, and on elder law issues. And Rebecca is one of the few elder law attorneys certified by the, what is that, Rebecca?
The National Academy of Elder Law Attorneys.
Okay, it sounds impressive, folks, because it is impressive. Rebecca is one of the few in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and we're lucky to have her associated with our office. And folks, today we're going to be talking about, or Rebecca's going to be schooling us on our viewers out there who have special needs loved ones, or loved ones who receive public benefits. Is that the best way to put it? And you folks are out there thinking about doing wills, and Rebecca, and you want to talk to Rebecca about estate planning. Rebecca's going to talk to you about something called third-party special needs trusts.
Right.
What is a special needs trust?
Yeah, so the whole idea of a special needs trust is it's a trust that's established for an individual that has special needs or an individual that has disabilities. That is either currently receiving public benefits, and what I mean by public benefits would be benefits like Medicaid or SSI, and they anticipate receiving those benefits one day. So either they're receiving them, or we think that in the future they may need to rely on those public benefits. And when we talk about special needs trusts, there's really three types of special needs trusts. So the one we're going to talk about today is a third-party special needs trust, and we're going to talk about how that's established and the components of that. But there's also a pooled special needs trust and also a first-party special needs trust. But the idea behind all three of those trusts is it's a way to provide money to an individual that has a disability that's on public benefits without their benefits being interfered with. Okay,
that's a mouthful.
Yeah.
Let's throw out a scenario that may apply to some of our viewers. Mom and dad have a child who suffers from some developmental disability, or maybe perhaps has been injured, and he or she, the child, and by the way, that child can be a minor or an adult,
right?
So that whether they're under 18 or over 18, is receiving, just round number for the heck of it, $1,000 a month in public benefits. But the mother and father, if they pass away, and let's say that child is the only child, will have assets for that disabled child. What can those assets be used for? I think you mentioned the word supplement. What does that mean, to supplement those public benefits?
So the idea of the special needs trust is that distributions can be made for things that benefits are not covering. So for example, educational needs, any kind of hobby or vacations. Really, the trust can be used for anything that's not specifically for things that benefits are covering, like shelter and food.
That shelter and food is what those public benefits are supposed to cover.
Yeah, what SSI is supposed to cover. So if they're receiving an income stream, where Medicaid, I mean, a lot of times the supports and services that an individual with disabilities is receiving could be hundreds of thousands of dollars a month, depending on the severity of the disability and what kind of services they require. Or, you know, if they require, for example, an aid at home, those services can be really valuable for that individual, where the idea of losing those benefits could be devastating. So the supplemental needs trust is a way for a parent or grandparent or anyone that wants to leave an inheritance to an individual to be able to do that without compromising the benefits that that individual is receiving.
Okay. Why would you? All right. So I'm a parent, and my child has special needs and is receiving X dollars a week or a month. Why would I want to establish a special needs trust? What does that do for me?
Yeah. So the benefit of the parent or a third party creating this type of trust is that you still have control over the assets upon that beneficiary's death. So where you're creating, where you're leaving an inheritance to a beneficiary outright, and that beneficiary receives that inheritance, then we have to create a different type of trust called a first party trust. And that has a payback provision, which means the state of Pennsylvania is going to have a claim against that trust when the beneficiary who's disabled passes away. Where the third party trust, you can decide what happens to those assets. And it has a creditor protection because of the fact that the money held in the trust is from a third party and not from the individual beneficiary.
So when can you hold your thought? When I die and my inheritance goes to my child, it actually, with the third-party special needs trust, it doesn't go to the child.
Right.
The child doesn't own the
Correct.
inheritance that I've given that child.
Right.
Who owns it?
The trust. So the trust is the owner of the assets. And the trustee, which the parents or grandparents get to decide who they want that trustee to be. The trustee is the one that oversees the money, makes investment decisions, and then makes decisions regarding the distributions from the trust.
So that's why, is that why my child's creditors can't touch that money?
Right.
Because my child doesn't technically, legally own the money.
Correct.
Okay.
And yep, so that's how you get around the idea of not needing to have that payback provision. So it's really important where you have a child with a disability or any beneficiary that you want to include in your estate plan, that you put those planning mechanisms in place through the third party trust to make sure that that inheritance won't directly go to that individual.
Well, who are potential trustees then? Give us some examples of who could be trustees. If I have a child or one of our viewers has a child with special needs, do he or she or they, mom and dad, need to consider who to appoint as a trustee?
Who you appoint as the trustee is really important. You can decide who if you have a family member or maybe another child that could act as the trustee. You get to decide who you want to appoint as the trustee. You also could look into corporate trustee options if you don't have an individual family member, that could step into that role for you.
Such as a bank or a social service agency or?
Yeah, so typically it's going to be a financial institution that would step in and act as the trustee for a special needs trust. So the market's a little bit more narrow as to who is going to step in that role. But one thing that I wanted to mention that's a little bit different than the first party trust, other than the fact that it doesn't have that payback provision, there's also not an age limit on the third party trust. So with that first party trust, the beneficiary has to be under the age of 65 when the trust is created.
Oh, you did say that before. Okay.
Where the third party trust doesn't have that requirement. Also, the third-party trust can be a revocable trust. So the parents or the grandparents creating the trust can make that trust revocable during their life. So there's a little bit more drafting flexibility there and more options for the individuals that are planning for somebody with a disability than if you don't do the planning ahead of time and then we're creating a trust later.
If the person dies, the beneficiary dies, and there's money left over in the special needs trust, can your client, our viewer, dictate what happens to that money?
Yeah, and that really is the huge benefit of that third-party trust, is that you're establishing a trust, explaining how much money you want, that individual to receive in that trust. And then, provided there's money left over, you don't have that payback provision. So you get to decide what happens to the remaining amount of the money.
Okay.
So you can name your other children, you could name, your child's, you could name your grandchildren or a charity, whoever you wanted to name, you get to decide what happens with that money.
Great. Great. Well, the message, folks, is you need to give us a call at 610-323-2800 or 610-917-9347. Speak to Rebecca about your special needs trust issues, and we are your law firm. So you've been watching Legal Talk, brought to you by O'Donnell, Weiss, and Megay. Thank you.